What's up, everybody? So, my name is Marshella Wells, but you can just call me Nisi. And this is the first episode of This is Therapy. So, on my first episode, I wanted to interview my friend Ashley. Me and Ashley are the same age. We are technically in the same demographics when it comes to our careers and things like that, our interests and all those things. So the difference between me and Ashley is that Ashley is married. And as someone that desires to be married, I wanted to interview her just to get some insight for a single woman from a married woman's perspective. Another reason why I want to interview Ashley is because since I have met Ashley a couple of years ago, and I'll tell you guys that story, Ashley has been respectfully transparent. I feel like Ashley is one of those people that you can go to and talk about your concerns, your relationships, your things like, just life stuff, and she's always going to she gives a good perspective on things. So she's not someone that comes in blazing, like just negative. You need to do this, you need to do that, blah, 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 blah. She really listens and tries to understand where you're coming from, and then she uses her own personal experience to offer advice. And that's something that I respect about Ashley, and so that's why I wanted to interview her. Now, before we get to the interview, let me tell you guys how me and Ashley met. Me and Ashley literally live like 10 minutes away from each other. I can get in my car right now and be at Ashley's house in like 10 minutes. We went to the same HBCU, shout out to Savannah State University, but we actually met in Atlanta, Georgia. So me and Ashley met at a Workplace Slay conference in Atlanta. It was hosted by Coriel Du Bois, was her last name at the time. She's recently been married, so her last name has changed. But the only thing I really remember is Ashley was sitting in the row in front of me, and she had come with one of her clients, and then I was sitting in the row behind her. I came by myself, but I had met some girls at the conference, so those are the people that I was sitting with. And I can't remember what the conversation was, but I remember Ashley turning around and she like waved, and then we just started talking. And then the more we talked, the more we realized how connected we were. And we literally been cousins ever since then, and it's been years ago since then. So yeah, so I love Ashley, I respect Ashley, I value her opinion, I value her insight. We always have really good dialogue when we actually get together and sit down and just talk through life things. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with any of your friends or family members that you feel like can find some value in it. And I will see you in the interview. Bye. What's up, YouTube? My name is Marshella Wells, or you can just call me Nisi, and I am the creator of This is Therapy. So today I am sitting down with Ashley, one of my dear friends, aka my cousin. And if you watched the beginning of the video, then you know that we met many miles away, even though we literally live like 10 minutes away from each other. So before we start the interview, I'm gonna give Ashley a chance just to introduce herself and tell you guys a little bit about herself before we dig into like the marriage stuff.
Okay. Hi, I am Ashley Stewart Faduba. I live here in Jacksonville, Florida. From Atlanta. I was raised in Atlanta, born in Philadelphia. I am the CEO of the Ashley Stewart Agency, which is a boutique administrative management consulting firm focused on helping small business owners structure their businesses administratively through strategic planning and outsourcing of duties and tasks. I also am a life purpose coach that I've created this community for. It's called Get Your Life University. So check us out on Instagram.
Okay, make sure y'all follow Ashley on Instagram. So today, although I consider myself a businesswoman and I love business, today we're talking about relationships, more specifically marriages, because Ashley is a happily married woman. She's also a millennial. Me and Ashley are the same age. On paper, I feel like me and Ashley would be very identical. And so as a millennial woman that desires to get married, I just want to get some insight from Ashley on what it's like to be married nowadays, because we already know how dating is, but what's the other side of that? And that's why I wanted to interview Ashley. So Ashley, let me tell y'all, I'm gonna be looking at my phone because I put questions in my phone. So if y'all see me looking down, don't judge me. Okay, so Ashley, let us know how long you and your husband have been married. How old were you when you got married, and then what the process was like? I guess like maybe like your wedding. Did y'all have a big wedding? Did y'all have an intimate wedding? Like how did that go?
So funny story. I met my husband on social media, actually on a dating app back in the day. It was, well, I think it might still be active. I don't know
Which one?
anymore. It's called Soul Swipe, so it's like Tinder for chocolate people.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, okay.
Soul Swipe. Yeah,
Let me
so
see if it's still in the app store.
I think it is, but they not getting no shine because they don't miss out our story. Anyway. So we met on the app, and he lived in Jacksonville. I was living in Savannah at the time, working at Savannah State.
Shout out to Savannah State University.
Rare. And we did the long distance thing. It's funny, like our first date, he came to Savannah. We went to out to eat, and he told me I was gonna be his wife. I told him he was smoking crack, and yeah, like 6 months later. When I turned 30, so for my 30th birthday, we went to Atlanta. I had this really nice weekend. We came back, and I got a job offer in Pennsylvania with a university that my cousin was at the time. I was like, yeah, I want to take a job. Like, I don't have to, it was like I was already set up for it, so it was a no-brainer for me. And he was like, well, what about me? And I was like, well, we already traveled to see each other anyway. We're just going to keep traveling a little further. And he was like, no, but I feel like if you leave, you're going to leave me and all this stuff. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to, whatever this is, we can, see what it is. And he was like, well, do you want to get married? And I was like, sure. So essentially, like, that was the week after my 30th birthday. And then 2 weeks after that, we eloped.
Wow. Okay. So with that story, that was a good story, by the way. Do you feel like y'all went through like the courting stage and the dating stage? Because it seems like you was like kind of like, well, whatever this is, we'll figure that out. But I'm going to Pennsylvania.
Right.
So do you feel like y'all went through like that traditional per se like courting stage and then like the dating stage, or y'all could have still went through it? It could have just been kind of like accelerated. You know what I'm saying? Because of the job offer and
not necessarily accelerated. I think that is something that, every relationship has to go through. Mm-hmm. So although we kind of bypassed it, mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that structure and the things, that stage didn't come up after we were married. We were just already married.
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Figuring it out. And we, it took us some time to still figure it out because we did, we were only 6 months in when we went 6 months of knowing each other, not even like, full-fledged dating. I mean, we were exclusive, but, it was still long distance. So it's not like I'm seeing you every day. It's not like I'm in your, I have to be in your space every day. There are things that you get to learn about people when you're in close proximity that long distance relationships just don't afford for.
So with the 6 months, how did you overcome like or was there a fear of like, dang, I'm about to spend the rest of my life with this person? Like, what made you decide to say yes?
Oh, so one thing I was fully clear on from the day I met my husband was that he was about his business, and I never felt like, I always knew that things would be taken care of. Like when it came to like bills and things like that, like adult stuff is what I call it. He was a father. He's a father. He was a father when I met him. From his first marriage, he has a daughter, and I knew that even just witnessing how he interacted with her and how he handled being a long distance parent, because she's not in Florida, so just how he navigated that and how he handled business, I just felt like this person, I'm never gonna be homeless. Like it sounds really superficial, but when you don't have to worry about food, shelter, and light, you know what I'm saying, or those the hierarchy of needs, you can focus on other things, you know what I'm saying? So and I've always wanted to be able to, you know, have that freedom to do.
So from very, very early on, your husband gave you that sense of security.
Yeah.
Very early. A strong sense of security.
Yes. Even from like our first date, he was like opening doors, and like he just set the precedent that I'm here to take care of you and you don't have to worry about anything. So
nice. Okay, I'm not mad about that. So I'm gonna ask you, at the time that you met your husband, before y'all got married, were you a wife at that time?
Hell no. So my parents never got married, but I did have the ability to see my father be with a wife, and so when I would, you know, go visit him, I was always surrounded by love, even though it wasn't like the traditional in-home love.
Right.
I had bonus moms, I have bonus moms, and you know, wherever I am around my family, it's always, you know, like, okay, there never seemed to be, in my child perspective, things that would be wrong. It seemed like a loving environment. So from that perspective, it seems like, oh, well, just when everybody's happy, you know, as long as I'm making everybody happy, that's, you know, that's what being a wife is. So no, hell no, you know, I wasn't a wife when I met him, because I literally was not a wife when I met him. And it takes time to really understand what all is involved beyond just being present. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like growing out of the selfishness of being single or even in a relationship is something that takes time. And because we had expedited our process, it took even more, you know, it took more time past the point of that you think it's not going to be there. Like having a ceremony or saying I do does not mean like magically your brain is erased and you get this whole new brand new download of, you know what I'm saying, wife tutorials, or even for men, what to do as a husband. So no, not when I met him. I am today.
Right.
I'm real wife today. You know what I'm saying?
Very much so. So I think something that you said there is the selfishness of being single, because that's a big thing for me. Like, a lot of times I say it's easier to be single because you don't have to think about the other person's feelings. You don't have to really concern yourself with how you are and how you are maybe impacting that person, because it's just you. Like, you're literally your only concern. But the moment you get into a relationship or you start to share space with somebody, then you can't just think for yourself. It's like you always have to be thinking about how will this impact the person that I'm with, the person, my partner, my husband, my wife, whatever. Like, how is this action that I'm about to take going to impact this person? And hopefully you can overcome your selfishness and think about that all the time versus just in that one instance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But sometimes that don't happen, and then you have to be able to communicate through that, and they have to be able to explain to you how what you did hurt them or how it impacted them, and all those things like that. So I think that was a big thing, because that's something that I think about often, is like how easy it is just to be focused on yourself and be concerned about yourself and only have to worry about you, and you know, you don't have to worry about that additional person, and not even, you know, and then God forbid y'all have a child. That's a whole
nother, right? And it's like, so there's two caveats to that. The purging of the things that we have, our habits, takes practice.
Definitely.
So if you don't, it's like feelings. Like, if you don't feel the feelings, you can't exercise the muscle of the feeler. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not in the situation that's going to encourage or require you to not be selfish, then it's just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to learn how to not be selfish, because
you have to learn a lot.
If you've been single for 3 years, you've been able to be selfish for 3 years, and now you're in a relationship and you have to learn how to not be selfish in that relationship.
But there is balance to that as well. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's always balance to that, and you never want to give so much of yourself without a return on your investment. ROI is important.
Very much
and
so.
Everybody's ROI looks different.
It does.
You know what I'm saying? Like, mine is different from yours.
Definitely.
So and that's the beauty of relationships. when it's two people, y'all get to decide what the boundary, what life looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what's the give and take?
What's the give and take? Yeah. Like your yes and your no. When as an individual, you have your own set of yeses and your own set of no's, and people make it seem like, oh, well, I'm in a relationship. I'm married to somebody, so what I said yes and no. Nah, like that's not realistic. You can't. There's no compromise in that. Right. Relationships require compromise. So.
A word. Okay, so do you feel that it's possible to find everything that you want in one person? And this is called the 85-15 rule. Mm-hmm. So basically, the 85-15 rule says that when you're married or you decide to be with a long-term partner, they're going to be able to provide you 85% of your wants and desires, but you're going to be missing that 15%. So you have to decide if that 85% is worth more than that 15%. Numerically, obviously it is, but if that 15% is a strong desire, like it may outweigh that 85%. You know what I'm saying? So as a married individual, how do you feel like, do you feel like you can find everything you desire in one person, or do you feel like it's something, and I don't want to say something that you settle for per se, but compromise, like you compromise on some things because they may not be able to provide, they're not going to be 100%, you're not going to be 100% for them, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But how do you make a decision on what you're willing to compromise on and what you're not willing to compromise on?
I think that even when making a list, because before I met my husband, even though I wasn't, I was in the dating pool when I met him, so I was newly in the dating pool too. I had, just started back dating as to why I downloaded the app and created a profile. But even in me being willing to jump back into the dating scene, before I met him, I'd written a list of what I wanted my husband to be.
Okay.
And when you write your list, when you speak a prayer, be specific, because God will fill in those blanks for you, okay? He will definitely fill in the blanks for you. And while, one thing I will say is, when you write your list, make sure it's not superficial. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, we want to be specific about the man being 6'5" and cocoa brown skin and perfect teeth and things like that. But at 7 years in, is that going to matter? Is his cocoa brown skin and them perfect teeth going to keep him at home being a husband to you? Or is that something that's going to, be... And you always going out with your fine, you think them teeth, you know what I'm saying? Like, you really have to think about things that are going to substantiate a relationship, like good communication, or, you know what I'm saying, the ability to recognize when it's play and when it's, you know what I'm saying, like things like that. That you don't really, I don't know if people think about things like that when they're writing their list.
Yeah, I'm going to say I think it's more on the superficial side, especially depending on what mind frame you're in when you're making your list and how you even came about getting to the point where you're writing a list, because that might be something you saw on social media, or, we pray in Sierra's prayer, and Sierra's prayer might not be the man that you want. You don't know what Sierra prayed for. That man is for Sierra. That same man might not be for you. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's more so on a superficial level, because I'm gonna just go back to Sierra and Russell Wilson. Like, when we see them, we literally seeing a smidget of their life, and not to say that they don't live fabulous lives, but we're only seeing that small piece. And now everybody on the internet want to pray Sierra's prayer, and that might not be what you want. And Russell Wilson, you might not be what he wants. The Russell Wilson that you think you're gonna get, you might not be the person that he wants. So it's like you really have to be focused, like you said, on like the things that really matter in the long run. Like 10 years from now, are his teeth still gonna be curly straight? Like, if he have a work accident, and they knock his teeth out, are you still gonna feel the same way about him when you made this list? So
what if he start balding in them ways that you like so much, sis? You gonna be able to take that male pattern bald into the middle?
A little bit different.
It's gonna be thin, and then you gonna want him to wear a hat all the time.
You're right.
But about the 85-15, I think that there are things that, of course, we desire and want in a person, and there are things that, okay, maybe like for instance, cooking. Maybe a man wants a woman that can cook, and for whatever reason, you might not be that great of a cook.
Mm-hmm.
It does not mean that you don't have the ability to become a better chef. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To develop that skill later on. Yeah.
You might not taste like your mama food, but you gon' eat. You know what I'm saying?
We eating good.
I might not know how to cook, but I know how to read.
I'm not 5-course meal
and some stuff. You know,
that's it. That's what I'm saying. You know, so some things.
I know how to cook.
Some things, you know, you'd be like, okay, well, he might not have been this on day one, but 7 years in, he is knocking it out in the park. You know what I'm saying?
He might not cut grass.
There's a learning
curve. You might just buy a lawnmower.
Exactly.
You know?
YouTube, you can learn anything on YouTube.
You can learn anything on YouTube. You ain't lying. TikTok and YouTube. That's
culture.
That's my go-to now. So, okay, let me see. What do you feel is a myth that single people have about marriage?
I would speak for myself.
Okay.
So I'm an 80s baby, and I grew up in the Disney princess, you know, era, and shit just don't be panning out like that in real life. You know, that's not what makes a marriage. The wedding ceremony, it is real cute, baby. It is. Y'all pictures be bomb for the gram. You know what I'm saying? That is the return on that investment is a solid marriage. It makes no sense to spend that amount of money when y'all divorcing or annulling y'all marriage in a couple of weeks because he don't put his toothbrush in the right hole and you sick of telling him every day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
girls like to tell, so you better lighten up.
They do, and I mean, don't fight me. Fight the toothbrush man. With me.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that. I agree with you. I think that even not even to go as far as marriage, I think people think relationships are supposed to be easy, and the relationships have to lead to marriage, but you gotta put in some work. Like, you have to put in the work. Even more so now, and I don't like to be like a negative Nancy and say the dating pool is tainted and all that stuff, because I just feel like it ain't that much pee in the dating pool. It's a little bit in there, but I think that people just don't want to work for nothing. It's like the first sign of some type of disagreement or struggle, or even like people are still holding on to past relationships to the point where they want to be so guarded and so like, oh, I don't want to get hurt again, or I don't want to open up my heart again. Okay, I'm not climbing over no brick wall and busting through no cinder blocks and all that stuff just to get to know you. Like, that's not fair. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we want to be so guarded, but like, we want to be so guarded and so alone, but we want to build generational wealth. What generations are we saving?
Right.
Like, do you know how easy it is to build generational wealth with two incomes, two people, and maybe not even two incomes? Just if a man can go to work and not have to worry about his house, that's like so much stress. You know what I'm saying? So I don't understand. Like, I think that people just
it's social media though. Social media has given us this instant look, or what we feel is an instant look at people's lives, and it really was the invention of the microwave, because before the microwave, people was cooking. It took you an hour minimum to prepare and cook a meal, so you had to put in the time and you had to put in the effort. But when you stick something in the microwave for 2 minutes, you know what I'm saying, and you want some reheat, you got a whole meal. You don't have to wait for anything.
But the microwave don't taste the same.
It does
they
not.
Don't taste the same.
It does not.
They do not.
And them waves ain't good for you. I heard Dr. Say that.
You ain't supposed to stand in front of the microwave when you're cooking. Well, when you're using the microwave, I don't want to say
period.
So that's that. But I could talk about that all day. We won't. Okay. So do you feel like the ring was like the ultimate form of commitment? Let's say, for example, you and your husband never got married, but y'all live the same exact life, the same, like you still got that same amount of security, your husband's still taking care of the house, your husband is still the man that he was that made you say yes. Would you still be with him today?
I can say no, because we would have left. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've had instances where we didn't want to do it anymore. But in the grand scheme of things, when you don't have anything substantial to hold you together, and it wasn't the ring, like, we have built not just our lives, but we have businesses together, we have property together, like, it's more, it's more than us right now.
Right.
So it was great that we were able to get the kinks out in the season that we did, because now it's like, all right, well, I mean, we can't split the house, and we can't split, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's more thought put into it. And it really don't even be no thought now, because it's like, bruh, like, at the end of the day, we gonna figure this out.
Yeah, like, where you going?
We're going to figure this out. I don't want to learn nobody's mama name. I can't stand nobody else's favorite color. And I don't want to learn how to cook another nationality food. Like, I'm straight. I'm good on what this is. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
So now it's like, let's sit down, let's talk about this thing.
Yeah.
Because where you going?
I mean,
where I'm going, but where you going?
And like, it sounds a little whatever, but legally, if something happens to him, you know what I'm saying? I am able to take care of it, because we have set our lives up for that.
Right.
It's not always as easy when you're not legally married. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see, I mean, you can get a life insurance policy on somebody. Shout out to the side chicks that do. Congratulations to y'all. I didn't know how to do that, so like, get me married. You know what I'm saying? Like, wipe me up, and you know, like, I mean, you know, like, I don't even have my ring on now, so it's not like a ring. A ring is whatever those two people decide it's gonna be.
I agree.
It's often an outward expression that, hey, this person is off limits, but sometimes people wear rings and they don't even be acting like that.
And sometimes people attract people because they got a ring on.
So
some people are more attracted to people with good rings on. I had a coworker years ago. He was married, happily married. Like, him and his wife had a beautiful family, everything. They didn't have rings. Like, they didn't even get married with rings. And somebody asked him about it in a joking way, like, you know, like he was trying to be slick because he didn't have his ring on. And he politely told him, my marriage it doesn't have anything to do with the ring. It's a covenant between me, my wife, and God. And it was like, the ring is just
for
some
y'all.
jewelry. Yeah, some jewelry. Like, I'm married with or without my ring, and I thought that was like literally years ago, and that just always stuck with me when he said that.
It's literally the life you're living. Like, I don't care what you have on. You can have on a Braves jersey and go walk in the Met Stadium and say, I'm here, you know what I'm saying, for practice. And I'm like, no. So it doesn't, it's a symbol. But realistically, even symbols aren't things that substantiate your marriage. It's the work and the commitment to making things work between you and that person. So whatever y'all decide it is.
Okay, so since you brought up all the things that, you know, have you and your husband tied together and how difficult it would be just to go through those things. Obviously, it's other things outside of that. But with that being said, like, when you talk about like the properties and the business and things like that, do you feel like marriage is a business?
When you're in the business of building generational wealth, it is most certainly a business. Yeah. Okay. You can be married and broke.
Definitely.
You know, and there is bliss in that. That's not the life I signed up for. It's not even nothing that resonated with me or my husband as to why we, you know, kind of bumped into each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even, I was entrepreneurial when I met him, even though I hadn't, you know, I was just getting my business off the ground. But like, our desires for life and out of life weren't ever to be, you know, just every day. I'll say that.
Right,
like, you know, we've always been legacy minded. So that requires that you get some business about yourself. Because, you could be broke and happy, you know what I'm saying? But that's, I wouldn't want to pass that on to the next generation of our family. So
Right. Okay. That's fair. Okay, so I know you said growing up you were raised around love, like you received a lot of love from your family and things like that. Growing up, were you raised to, I don't want to say value, but prioritize relationships? Like, were you taught that marriage is a goal? Like, you want to get into a relationship, build a solid foundation with that person, and the goal is marriage. Was that something that was presented to you?
Oh, yeah. So even though my parents weren't married, I had examples of marriage. Like, and even though my grandmother is widowed, but she was married. You know what I'm saying? Like, my aunts one of my aunts has been married 30 plus years. my other aunt has been married. My uncle has been married. So I understood that it definitely wasn't no shacking up, baby. You was not getting this milk for free. You know what I'm saying? You got to make it legit, and whether that's with a ring or we going down to the courthouse with this piece of paper that say it's mine.
Changing my last name.
You know,
hyphenating it.
However you know, however you like
whatever your cup of tea.
It was definitely, you know, marriage. It wasn't like let's just kick it for the rest of our lives. Like, nah.
I would say for me, I wasn't. My parents were together until I was like 12 or something like that. They weren't married, but there are a lot of, like, I have aunts and uncles that have been married longer than I have been alive. But marriage and, like, as far as, like, even relationships, like dating, you know, your daddy always say, girl, you can't date till you grown, type thing. Mm-hmm. But just talking about, like, what a healthy relationship looks like, you know, and all those things, that wasn't something that was discussed with me. I had a great aunt, because, you know, you always have, like, that one person in your family. But she wasn't, because I know a lot of women run into this, she wasn't so much stuck on me, like, not getting a man or not having a man, but she was very focused on me getting what I needed first before I got a man. So she was like, you need to go to school, get your education, you know, make sure you have a good job, buy you a house. If you meet a man and he want to marry you, he need to buy you a house. Right. How do you feel? This is a trigger word, okay? So I hope we don't get kicked off YouTube for this. How do you feel about the act of submission? And why do you think women are so afraid to let a man be in control?
Is submission a trigger word?
It is.
That's so funny.
I know it is because I have been in, last weekend I was, you know, we came back to my house, we was playing like a little card game or whatever, and somebody said the word submission, and it was like, I'm not submissive and blah, 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 blah. And then the next day, I went to like a little pool get together, whatever, and I made a comment, I said, men control if you get married or not, right? Because I'm not proposing to no man, I'm not getting down on me proposing to no man. So,
baby!
The only way I'm getting married is if a man proposed to me, right? Girl, why I said that? The girls were in an uproar. It was like, why would you say that? What do you mean a man controls the marriage? I said, are you about to get down on your knee and propose to a man? Because I'm not. It's a trigger word.
I get it. It can be triggering, but I think that when there's trigger, there's trauma. So y'all got to unpack that on your own, okay? We submit every day. If you go into somebody's 9 to 5, you submit to their work schedule and the work duties and responsibilities. If you're an entrepreneur, you're submitting to doing the work that it takes to make your business boom.
And to your clients and customers.
Like, we submitting every day. So why when it comes to a relationship, is it a problem? I don't think that women are, what was the word you said? Are scared to submit?
Oh, why they are, no, they're afraid. Living a man control.
Hey. If, back some 80s baby, back in the day we used to have to print out our MapQuest directions. Okay?
True. Yeah, you're right.
But when you printed them out, you felt confident that you had direction and it was going to get you from point A to point B. Right. Now, if that man ain't MapQuesting or Wazing or Google Mapping, like you in the direction or the capacity that you feel like he should, sure, there's going to be some questions. But then you also have to be, and direction in life is like, you know, okay, are we just kicking it or are we trying to get to some, you know what I'm saying? We're trying to build something. But even then, are you questioning his direction for this microcosm thing or for the overall macrocosm? Because if it's something that y'all disagreeing on to get to the bigger picture, then sometimes you just got to be like, okay, sis, is compromise is 50-50. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not always going to get your way. Right. Because there are some women who are in relationships that get their way all the time, and their husbands probably should blink twice if they ready to go.
Girl, And then I like the MapQuest example because I also think that sometimes we be wanting to be in control so much we don't even get the car started first, and we already not trusting him to get us to this destination. It's like, girl, chill out, like let the man lead. If he go down the wrong turn or exit, we gonna redirect. Siri about to redirect you anyway. Sometimes,
and it's more than one way to get there. You know what I'm saying? The way you might go might not be his way. But
what's the end goal? Are we gonna get to the end goal? I don't care how we get there. Just get me there. Safely, alive, the same way I left my house.
Safely. Return me back in the same condition, okay?
Protect me.
Please.
I can't wait to be submissive.
Yes. But submission is a two-way street as well.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah,
it's not even about power. It's about understanding strengths and weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Because if my partner is stronger in an area, my ego is not I can't allow my ego to be like, oh, nah, I'm going to do it. Because I'm going to do it and I'm going to look like a fool.
Both of y'all going to fail.
You know what I'm
because you want to be in charge so bad. You don't want to let the man, you don't want to trust the man to lead. And then you say you're not holding on to past trauma. Trauma can be cute too. Sometimes trauma don't look like, you being beat up and all that stuff like that. Right. Trauma can be cute and you don't even know you're dealing with trauma. So let's let the men lead a little bit. Now if he can't afford to lead, and I don't mean 100% financially, but if that man ain't got no sense.
And why you laid up with him, number one, is my question.
You don't need to be laid up with him.
That's my question.
If he can't afford, you know what I'm saying, for y'all to get
he shouldn't be able to afford your attention, if that's the case.
And sometimes we be knowing.
And do.
We be knowing that man ain't got no potential. We be knowing we don't need to wait on his potential to catch up, because he should already catch up. Especially, we 80s babies.
Listen.
If the potential if it ain't showing by now, hello?
We see how Mariana fleshed out. You know what I'm saying?
Save yourselves.
We already knew Ray J couldn't sing, but we see how Omariana, Jeremiah been lying, catfishing us, voice fishing us for a while.
Long time, girl. I couldn't even watch the thing. But anyways, if you trust a man enough to get in the car with him, let him lead, okay? Let him get you where y'all trying to go.
And if not, then strengthen your discernment.
Okay, so since we're talking about submission and trusting a man, let's talk about the civil war that we have going on between black men and black women. It's getting sickening, right?
Yeah.
It's so disgusting. I don't even know where it came from.
Oh, okay. Would you like some?
I would like some insight
reference?
Where you think it came from, and then what's your insight on it from somebody in the safety zone looking into the war, into the battlefield?
Okay. So I'm not a history buff, but I do understand that even dating back to slavery, black families were separated from their arrival. You know what I'm saying? Like, a man would have been sold off because he was strong and fit, do work at one person's farm, and maybe they needed somebody in the kitchen at another farm, or plantation. So the mother would be, you know what I'm saying? And if she had young children, the kids might be so although we can identify that we are not the creator of the issue, it is our responsibility to do the work that is required to fix it.
Okay. So with that, I get that, because that has caused a lot of issues.
I mean, it's still,
you know what I'm saying?
Like y'all banning abortion, so women having babies, and we can't. Welfare does not afford or allow for you to have a man in your home. Right. So you're not getting the public services, and it's to this day. Right.
So do you think that social media, like this war has been going on since slavery? Well, probably not since slavery, but it's an aftermath of slavery, right?
Yeah.
But do you feel like social media has made it more, like has amplified it, like made it more prevalent? Because when I think about like my parents, I don't even though they're not together, like my dad is remarried and stuff like that, I don't see that drama. Like I never saw that drama, that
you never saw it in your
separation
child perspective. Like it wasn't like that. But not only has social media amplified it, but we see it in our music. Like we are not the gatekeepers of rap and hip hop and R&B. We are not the gatekeepers of any music. You know, like our art form is our art form to a certain extent. Like I can appreciate indie artists because they don't have to follow the rules
Right.
of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The opposingly race controlled media. Like, that's just it. The powers that be that control media, music, all of those things look like the same people that was busting up their families at the slave auction. So
the plantation owners just dressing a little bit different now. They still have the plantation and stuff.
So yeah, it's gonna be in our music, and we're gonna be bitches and sluts and hoes, and you know.
And now the
and fuck niggas free, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
I heard that.
Now
part.
the men are getting bashed just as bad as the women. And I think about like, cause you know, people don't give music enough credit for how it impacts your mentality and how it makes you feel and how it makes you think and how it makes you behave.
Right.
And I tell you, I went to a concert. Let me see if I can remember. It was Moneybagg Yo, The Baby, some local artists, some people I ain't know their name, some local artists though, and then like I don't know, somebody else. I don't know. I want to say Bootsy. That's who it was. But you know, Bootsy get a pass. He get a little pass. But anyways, I want to talk about the women. Like the women performers, they were bashing men so bad. It was like literally, I got tired of hearing the music because it was like song after song after song, and them kids in there was going crazy. They know all the words.
Oh wow.
You know them. I'm like, they really taking the culture. Like, I know it's music and it's fun and it's, you know, hot girl summer, city girl summer, whatever. But that music, like, these people listening to this every single day. They listening to it because people walk around with AirPods, like they're part of their body now. Yeah. So imagine like how is this person thinking logically? And they're I say children, but they're not children. They like, you know, young adults, whatever you want to call them. They're younger than me. But they're listening to this all the time. So obviously, when a man, or if you raise a gentleman, try to approach this young lady that's been listening to the City Girls and Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B and Mulatto and all them constantly, she not gonna give your son the respect he deserves because she don't know no better. Especially if she don't have no home training. And we know that there's females out here that don't have no home training. So I think it's interesting that the roles have turned. And I know we had like the Little Kims and the Foxy Browns and all that, but never in my life, I don't know, I guess I didn't really listen to rap, I should say. I was listening to rap, but I was listening to like Juvenile and them like that. But it's just different. It's just as toxic, if not more toxic. Yeah. Because you really put into a young girl's mind that you only need to deal with a dude if he got money. Yeah. You only need to deal with him if he flying you out. You only need to deal with him if he can get you a Birkin. You only need to deal with him if, you know, whatever it is. I mean,
I remember it's not. I remember back in like the 90s and the 2000s when it was like video girl time. You know what I'm saying? And guys was bashing women back then. Like, you had to be a certain woman in order to be of a certain worth, like to be worthy of the attention. Right. So it's interesting to see how the scheme has flipped, but the basis of it, the degradation and the deterioration of the black family unit is still priority one. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like the roles, like now, be empowered, be a woman. This woman's women. That's not even a conversation for today. Right. But I can promise you that the concerns and issues of non-black women are starkly different from the concerns of black women. So there's that.
That was good. Okay, let me see. So, guess what? I think we made it through. I think we made it through all the questions.
You got another one?
I think it
Which one's right now?
Oh, okay, so we actually made it through all the questions. I want to thank Ashley. Thank you, girl.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being, and this is a word I like to use to describe you because I think it's so powerful, respectfully transparent, and talking about marriage and giving me some insight and giving whomever else may see this video and take some value from it, some insight. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share this video with anyone who you feel like may also find value in it, and we will be back for the next episode. Bye.